Peace and blessings, everybody. Thanks for coming back to the Four Elements United. We appreciate your patience, and you rocking with us, given that we've been off for a little bit. Tonight, we got a very special show. Tonight, we got my man Larry Pearson, who is a landmark forum leader. And before we do that, let me just dedicate this to my OG, my mother. Uh, if you guys know, she passed away. She transitioned last Memorial weekend. And yesterday, she would have been 80 years old. And me and my brothers, we celebrated, her life. And so I dedicate this show to my mother. I stand on the shoulders of my mother. My mother was a powerful woman. She loved the community, and she ingrained, blackness and positivity and humanity in my every being. And so I dedicate this to her for real. So, like I said, without further ado, we got my man Larry Pearson from Brooklyn, my brother from New York. My man is a landmark forum leader. He is the only African American or Black landmark forum leader in the world. And there
We
are,
have a second one now, Kendall Brown.
oh, whoa, okay.
Kendall Brown she graduated from Vassar, and she from Vassar then graduated from Pepperdine, and
Nice,
she's also an opera singer.
nice.
She's brilliant, just absolutely brilliant.
So I stand corrected. But
Yeah.
but 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 let me set this thing off right. So
Okay,
back in
good.
2009, 2010, which one was it, fellas? Was it 2009 or 2010 where we met?
2010.
All right, word. So in 2010, we all met, and we all met at this workshop called Landmark Forum, which is created by Landmark Education. And it's a 3.5 day workshop intended to clear people's frame of thought, frame of context that's holding them back from living the life that they want to live or intend to live. You want to correct me, Larry?
No, I think that's a great way of putting it. It's really an education for living. See, we have education for a lot of things, education for school, education for science, but we don't have an education for living, such that people really be able to get what's between them and living the life they were committed to living. If you look the way we were talking before we even started the show, we were just talking, but we weren't having ordinary talk. There's a phrase people have called talk is cheap. Talk is not cheap, but in life, people cheapen talk. So we were having the kind of talk that wasn't cheap, the kind of talk to move each of us forward to whatever that is that we're committed to. And the kind of conversations, like I looked at some of y'all videos before I got here, y'all don't have cheap talk. And if we as a community can have the kinds of conversations about what's possible, distinct from what's predictable, we know what's predictable. We don't always know what's possible.
That's a fact. Can I pause you right there, Joe?
Sure, we already started. Go ahead.
All right, we in it. So the reason why I brought Larry on, and the reason why we do what we do, is because we endured this process called Landmark Forum. And in this process, all of us ascertained that this was one of the most effective and efficient processes and programs to effectuate transformation. And the cost was minimal compared, absolute pittance compared to what you get out of it. So for all of you guys out there, look at Landmark Education, look at the
Landmark
Landmark
Worldwide now,
Forum.
Brian. It's not called Landmark Worldwide.
That's right. That's a
and,
fact.
And what you're saying is it's so great. It's so funny. It's like I haven't seen y'all in a long time, but it's like we were never apart. That's when you know you're connected.
Yes.
It's got nothing to do with time or distance. It's got to do with being connected.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
So I'm just kind of being with that. But you're right. One of the things about the forum is for people who are committed to dealing with what's between them and what they really want. But it handles the being part of you. There's a world of epistemology, what it is to know something. All four of you are brilliant. If I look at each one of you and hear you talk in your own respective avocations, you're brilliant. But what makes you all unique is you have the epistemological world called knowledge, but you also have the ontological world called being. And it's the being is what we're dealing with, being great, being extraordinary, being powerful, being someone of integrity, etc. And in our community, there's a possibility available in what you're speaking about the forum that just kind of completes a past to create a future. But that's something we'll get into as we're talking, as Rob and I you started talking about something earlier that is already here in the conversation.
Absolutely. So all of us committed to sharing this with the world. And we certainly committed to sharing this with our community because we know that we really, really need it. And we know that it would really, really make a difference in our community. And we did this, over, like I said, over 12 years ago, and we still rocking. And we about to take it all the way to the top. So here we are. Let's do it. So the first question, Larry, what is your perception of the issues that are really adversely impacting our community that we need to handle right now?
I thought about that question, and there's not one answer to that question. That question has levels to it, layers to it. Like Rob and I were talking, one of the things I was looking at in the question was one of the biggest issues we deal with in our community is our relationships with each other. Men empowering women, women empowering men. Like empowering, distinct from trying to control. Very distinct. And when we empower the people that we care about, they then live bigger lives. The other thing that I really got, we have this adage in our community, don't put your business in the street. If you ain't in the street, where you putting it? But really, because secrets kill. It's not what you say that kills you, it's what you don't. And as a community, when we start to be in that kind of authentic communication, something becomes available called our children starts to talk to us. I tell fathers, listen to your daughters. If you don't, the boy down the street will. So when your daughter can come talk to you about the things that they think they can't talk to you about it, or your son talks about the things they can't talk to you about it, all of a sudden they don't go talk to their friends about it. They're talking to you about it. They get guided in a direction that's going to make a difference. So I think our network of conversations in our community really does limit what's possible, limit what's available. More importantly, life becomes about what you're hiding, not how you're living. So that's where I'll start.
And I won't dominate the conversation, brothers. Water, earth, fire, jump in there.
Well, I think. Go ahead, Earth. I let my elders go first, man. Age before beauty.
No, I definitely agree, like 100%. I mean, it's definitely being able to have conversations that move something, like move something in a progressive way, not move something where it's moving us apart. So I agree, and just being able to extend, grace and mercy, to one another. It to me is extremely important, And I mean the thing that you said, Larry, that just struck me is being able to empower one another instead of disempowering one another, however that looks. And really, it takes something to actually empower someone, because in the face of life, it takes something. So yeah, that's what I want to say about that.
And I love what you said on Earth, because it takes something. It, our most prized possession is our point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most important thing that we defend is our point of view. And when you can get the point of view out the way, then all of a sudden you can begin to see life as it is, and not through your point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And grace and mercy it is a real opportunity to give up a point of view about something.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Because all of our stuff got stuff that stink. And people walk around like this stuff don't stink. Oh no, we're all funky. It's just the most powerful people who are not willing to hide the funky.
Right.
Mm.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, but here's the thing. I'm really, for myself, is whatever I don't have to hide, you can't mess with me.
That part.
Well, you got nothing to hide. What they're gonna tell you, that I broke the law? Okay, that ain't even original. What someone tell me that I've cheated in relationships in my past? That ain't even original. But see, when I don't have to hide that, there's nothing to defend. What they gonna do? Tell me something that low overweight? That ain't even original. What you gonna say if you got nothing? If you have nothing to hide, what they're gonna say to you?
Mm. Come on, Larry.
Bro, what they're gonna say?
What gets created in the space where shame and guilt do not reside?
Yeah.
What's possible in the space where insecurities are normalized? They're like, sure, everybody's got insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hiding, it's the looking good and being good. I can speak personally that led to dis-ease in my mind and in my body and in my spirit, that led me to being open to, at the time, the landmark education in the curriculum for living.
Yeah.
Had I not been in turmoil internally, I would have just. I'm busy, man. I got things to do. The Simpsons come on Tuesday night at 7. I can't miss this. I can't miss Jeopardy. Like I got all kinds of excuses, but there was something inside of me that said go, and when I went, whoo.
But you say something that I think is worth dealing with. Is most as human beings, we wait for calamities before we actually deal with ourselves. We wait to the 11th hour before we say, maybe I want to deal with it, when you don't have to wait that long. But the shame and guilt becomes a great justification for not dealing with yourself.
Right.
Yeah, Larry, what's really coming up for me is that even us four, right, we went through the curriculum,
Mm-hmm.
and what I really see is the difficulty and the struggle is real to continue to stay in the work, right? This is something that these guys are probably tired of hearing me talk about it. It's something that I think is a natural tendency to think I fixed myself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I've like, hey, we did the seminar, man. Like, I'm fixed. I can move on with life now. However, what I think happens is people tend to digress, whatever the word is. They tend to fall straight back into all of those things. Everything that you got the clarity on, it just goes, like it starts to, the layers start to kind of, you peel the onion layer back, and then the layers start to kind of come back over it like a Venus flytrap or something.
No, it's dead on. There's something that you're pointing to that I think is the Achilles heel of people being successful is that they, as human beings, and I know you said it better than I could say it. It's almost like I've gained a certain level, I can put my feet up. But what we don't get in the world of physics, you're expanding or contracting, you're never staying the same. I've been leading the forum for 22 years. Every weekend I lead the forum, I discover another place where I'm being full of crap or I'm being a jerk. Every single weekend. No, every single weekend. I discover another place where I'm being completely inauthentic and full of it. And
I
then
compare it
sometimes
to
I act
a
like I'm
video
not.
game.
Say it again.
I said I always compare it to a video game like Donkey Kong. There's always new levels.
Yeah, but we don't live that way. We live like I got a little something, something. I'm fixed. Let me move on to the next thing. But what you didn't do is you don't fortify what you built. It's like developing a skill. One of the things that my coaches are working with me on, I'll have a breakthrough in my leading, then I'll take on the next thing and stop developing what I had the breakthrough in. So the foundation is no longer solid. But inside of what you're pointing to, man, there was something you said that was really, when you start to develop yourself the way you're talking about, you think I'm fixed, I'm set. You don't see the next thing that creeps in. Because the concerns that Rob had now is not the concerns he had then. Every time you elevate yourself, you got new and distinct concerns. Those concerns are not the same. Those concerns require different skills to deal with. Brian's starting his business with his fiance.
Oh, who was Rob? Who was Brian?
My bad. My bad. I get it.
I get it.
But what you told what you developed now to be with your fiance, it will be insufficient for the next level of what you're dealing with.
That's a fact.
Insufficient. I live with someone now. Who I was then is completely insufficient to be with this woman now.
Exactly.
Insufficient. Matter of fact, it gets in the way of being with this person now.
That's a fact.
Because I had the integrity of being single. I'm not single anymore. I got to have the integrity of being someone who's committed. Because integrity of someone who's being committed is insufficient for the next level of my life. So what you're saying is, oh man, dead on.
And we always gonna be bumping up against it until we get it right. You know what I mean?
No, you'll be bumping up against it until you die.
Exactly. Well, when I say get it right, I mean get it right for that particular level, and then you got to go to another level, and then you got to open up and get some other skills and other tools.
Yeah, very good. But most people are too doggone lazy to do it if we just talk straight about it.
That's a fact, and that's the reason why we got divorce. That's the reason why our divorce rates are so high. Our marital rates are so low. That's the reason why we got this disgusting interaction between males and females.
I get that. Yeah. You know, we say we want to expand our life, but we mostly just want to get more money. To expand our life would be expanding the foundation, not just of you, but expanding the life of the people around you.
And we also like certainty and we like comfort. And we don't understand that life is actually in the uncertainty and in the discomfort. It's living on the skinny branches, brother.
Yes. And the thing that you're talking about when it's real important is there's only one thing certain in life. And we already got a passport to that place. Just when it's going to be cashed in.
Exactly. We all got an appointment, brother.
It's just when it is. Nothing that, and that's nothing certain.
That's a fact. The only thing constant is change.
So Larry, you mentioned something else, man. You know, I want to hear what you have to say about the secret thing, right? So I look, fire, anybody who's watched this show knows that fire is the most unsecretive element that we have, right? He's the one that's always sharing. And so I think for fire, this is, kind of like he gets this. But, what I find in myself is when I'm holding on to something, right? And I'm trying to pretend like I have it together when I really don't. What I realize in myself is that takes so much energy, right? And this is energy that I could be putting towards fulfilling my highest purpose. I could be living my dream life. I could be pursuing my dream career. I could be, finding my dream, relationship, any of those things. However, instead of kind of clearing that energy so I can attract those things or pursue those things or whatever, be pulled towards those things, I hold on to all of those warts. I don't want anybody to see my scars and my warts.
But here's the question: how come? See, there's something you're saying that if we can just kind of get underneath it for a minute, I want to. How come?
Let's do it. So I can tell you, for me,
Yeah, you.
it's scary.
Okay,
It's
good.
so scary.
Okay, stay with that for a second. Scared of what?
Scared of looking bad. Scared of people discovering that I'm not perfect. Scared of just not being enough. I think that's
Okay.
what it is.
Okay, good. So let's take the case. Everything you said is a fact. This is not. It's not. But let's just take the case. That's the case,
Right.
right?
Right.
So what if they do find that out? So then what?
Then they know.
Okay, good. Let's take the next step. So what if they know? Then what?
They again, I think that there's nothing else.
There's nothing else. So underneath,
There's nothing else.
you
They
gotta
know,
get,
and that's
you
it.
gotta get that the foundation is completely shaky.
Yeah.
We're so
You're
damn
protecting
superstitious.
But you're protecting something that's got no value.
Exactly.
There's nothing else.
Yeah.
All it is that they know.
The emperor has no clothes. There is no Wizard of Oz.
But you're protecting something that's got no doggone value.
I would challenge that.
Let's go.
I would challenge that there is something underneath they know.
Okay, good. Now, nope. Then what's that? What was that?
I will ask water to look deeper beneath what they, because them knowing, how does them knowing the truth really impact your basic needs? Or how could it impact your basic needs as a human being?
How could them knowing impact my basic needs as a human being?
We're talking food, we're talking water, we're talking shelter, we're talking sex and intimacy. How could them knowing the truth threaten your basic needs as a human?
Well, it depends on what we're talking about.
Okay.
Right. So
Maybe.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that, for instance, like I was a corporate worker and my secret is that like I'm take drugs or whatever, and they have a drug policy or whatnot, like that could impact my career. I could get fired, impact my livelihood.
Okay, say that happened, then what?
Then I would have to go do something else.
Okay, say that happened, then what?
Life goes on.
Yeah, but you don't get that. Because there's something that Fire was pointing to that's really, really critical. See, I jumped and went right down to the bottom, the so what, but there's a place that he's pointing to. And your most prized possession is your what? That would have that be that way.
My what?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, guys. I can't see it. You guys are gonna have to give me a pointer.
No,
We're on the court today.
no, what you just said is really good. You can't what?
Can't see it.
You got a
Yeah,
blind
you
spot.
can never see your own eyeballs.
Yeah.
But if you start to take a look at it, and this is not just for you, this is for all of us, Water. It's our being well thought of, our view of ourselves. Because we all have a view that we want other people to have of us. We also have a view that we want to have of ourselves. If either one of those gets threatened, you'll attack. So, Water, you have no room to flow.
Ooh.
I mean, it's interesting that you're called Water. You've got no room to flow. Have you ever watched water flow?
Yeah. It's beautiful.
It is, isn't it? And when real water flows, there's no barriers that can stop it. Even the dam water still moves. But with enough force, water takes down the dam too. But as long as you have that world called no real freedom, and by the way, this is happening in our communities, in our culture, that stops as part of the secrets that's there that we don't tell people. We have no room to flow because life becomes about protecting that thing that's not even what the hell are you protecting.
Yeah. And the energy that it takes to protect that is just
Look,
it is
you live here. Atlanta's a shooting gallery right now. But it's gotten so normalized.
yeah.
It's gotten normalized. And there's a conspiracy in our community. Now I know people are gonna say, what the hell? There's a conspiracy. You don't call me my stuff, I don't call you your stuff. Let's call that connected. Because if I held you to being who you really are, you'd have to deal with something. You don't have to do anything when you're not being who you really are. You can just let the default system take over. You just go along for the ride. The chief is screwed because the chief can't be his identity being the chief. Those two can't dance together. So sometimes we got to keep things just big enough so we can handle it. Just big enough so we can handle it. You want to break something up? Make promises you don't know how to keep and then keep them. And train yourself to keep them.
Ooh, say that one more time for the people in the back, Larry.
Make promises you don't know how to keep, then train yourself to keep them. See, if you make promises you don't, if each one of us make promises you don't know how to keep, if Wynn made a promise you don't know how to keep him for his business, something that he thinks that's not attainable, or earth, or water, or fire, y'all made those kind of promises you don't know how to keep. Then you start to deal with, goodness, how do I need to train myself to fulfill on that promise that I have no idea how to keep? You make promises you don't know how to keep, you don't have to develop anything. You just keep talking smack and don't do anything else. Just talk a good game.
You know, it's funny that you said that because, you know, all my life I had this question, how do we effectuate transformation for our community? And I studied the Black Panthers, the Nation of Islam, the Black Hebrew Israelites, the Moors, the this, the that, and this. And I never had a coherent answer until recently. But to your point, I had to grow to that.
Yeah.
And it was a declaration of my word to hang in there and stand for our people and do what I did and do whatever was necessary to get to where I'm at right now.
And that's really good. And what I love about the forum is the world of unconcealing. and discovery. Unconcealing what's in the way. And water, even just unconcealing what's in the way that would have being so well thought of be your senior most concern. It'd be a pretty amazing question to begin to inquire into.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang out with that one.
Yeah. And if that wasn't your concern, what could you really be concerned for?
Like we said, man, living my highest, deepest purpose. I could take all of that energy and just pour it into that.
Yeah. And another way of saying it, you'd be up to something bigger than yourself.
You know, I share with this to a lot of people in real estate. There's terminology called highest and best use. And so, highest and best use in real estate, you wouldn't have a residential 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom in downtown Chicago or New York. Highest and best use, you're going to have a 100-floor building. And so the highest and best use of somebody that has an education, to whom much is given, much is required. The highest and best use of all of us that have education, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding is doing something for the people, doing something that's greater than you, doing something for the community, doing something for humanity, not doing something for yourself and for your individual families.
Yeah, it's called doing something for no reason. Just because you said. Now that Earth, what you gonna say? Because I'm watching you over there vibrate. What's happening over there?
No, it's when you said like doing things for no reason, just because you said. And I thought about that, and I'm a huge proponent of that. However, it's the management of those things. That's where, like, for me, that's why I laugh. I just chuckle to myself, like, ooh, it's not the easiest thing to manage.
Okay,
You know,
well, let's just kind of check something out for a second. Manage what?
managing my word.
Good that it ain't your word. That's a management tool.
Okay.
What if your word was just something that you gave your word? Now I'm grappling with this right now because I have a number of new accountabilities, and my integrity is insufficient for the level of accountabilities that I now have. And everything that worked to get where I am is completely got nothing underneath it anymore because it can't hold the weight of what I got to deal with. And I'm fundamentally I'm screwed.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to, all the tricks and trades I had that got me to where I am literally is an impediment to my word.
Mm.
See, your word don't need anything other than itself, and then you act on that. Everything else is just props.
I got it. Okay.
When you take away the props, what do you got?
It's my word.
Just your word.
Yeah.
Every Friday
Got
morning.
it. So go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
No, when you said it, I'm thinking about like a prop would be obligation, have to.
Yeah.
It just struck me. Yeah. Have to, obligation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The concept of time itself.
Yeah.
Yet another problem.
Yeah.
Shitting all over the place.
Yeah. And there's a formerly name is Mark Spiritos. Every time I get around that man, I vibrate. Why? Because this integrity is so clean that what shows up is what mine is completely out. Every time I'm on a call with him, like every antenna I got about my integrity shows up. Why? Just oppose his integrity about where I am, and I'm not making myself wrong. It's not even bad. It just shines a light on what I need to deal with.
And it also shines a light on what's possible.
Completely. Absolutely.
Because he bleeds just like us.
Yeah, and what he's got that we're developing is his word. And with his word, he may bleed like us, but he's also functions at a level that, if we all, the four of us function at it, again, it's not comparing one or the other, it's not that, it's pointing to, without the props, all you've got is your word. And when you develop that as your word, like develop the muscle called your word, at some point, people can no longer mess with you. They can only mess with you when you don't have a word.
But what Fire was pointing to is that Spiritos functions as an example.
Yeah, of what's possible.
Of what's possible.
Yeah.
And see, here's the thing that people don't really get. That there's like 3 things that our people need. It's education.
Yep.
Education.
Yep.
Exposure.
Yes.
And experience.
There's a 4th.
Go ahead.
Integrity.
Of course.
Without that foundation, education, exposure, and experience it'll all dwindle at some point. Because it's got nothing to stand on.
Of course.
Go ahead, Water. Because
like fire. You literally not like, so you gonna let. I would think that the 2 elements who would be on the court would be probably you and Earth instead of me and Earth. But we can't have you not get on the court, bro. Like
you missed that in the pre-show. I don't know where you must have been still asleep, getting the sleep out of your eyes. Larry and I had our talk. Now, but one thing I want to do is take a step back, Larry, because we speak about integrity and we have a context for it and a reference point. But a lot of people listening and watching,
sure.
Can you unpack that?
Yeah. When I'm talking about integrity, I'm talking about the state or condition being whole, complete, unimpaired, sound, perfect condition. State or condition being whole, complete, unimpaired, sound, perfect condition. And as integrity is distinct from morality or ethics. Morality goes in the world of good or bad, right or wrong, should or shouldn't. Integrity is fundamentally either did what you said you did or you didn't. Integrity is being whole and complete for yourself. Look, if I said some of the things to you that you say to you about you, you'd punch me in the mouth. However, you say it to yourself in the quietness of your own mind, and you don't get that that's a lack of integrity, the diminishment of who you are for you. We don't get that talking bad about ourselves is a lack of integrity. We don't get that not honoring your mothers or fathers, sisters or brothers, people around you lacks integrity. We don't get that when you don't live the life you're committed to, it lacks integrity. We don't get that if you're in a marriage that doesn't work and you don't deal with it, it lacks integrity. Anything that diminishes who you are for you and diminish who people are for you, people around you. It doesn't give you a solid foundation. It diminishes who you are for you. And it's not about being perfect. It's simply about honor.
The one thing I want to
Go ahead.
The one point of integrity I want to add to that I think gets missed. It's inherent in what you just said, but let me say it explicitly,
Mhm.
is keeping not just yourself in an empowering context, but keeping others in an empowering context. And so particularly for our community where gossip is so rampant that it's not
Yeah.
even called gossip. It's not even called gossip. It's just what we do, you know?
So, by the way, this is so good, and it kills off our families, our communities, our neighbors. Anything that's been built, gossip will kill it. It will erode it like acid.
Keeping others in an empowering context. Larry,
Yeah,
I want you to take.
but here's the
Go
other
ahead.
thing, though. Fire is really interesting. You and I are real friends, and we connected. But what I don't all deal with, I look at Jen. I'll just be real in my own life. If Jen lacks integrity and I don't deal with it, that's now my integrity.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
So if she lacks integrity in some area of her life and I don't deal with it, that's now my integrity. If I lack integrity and she don't deal with it, that's now her lack of integrity. So sometimes it was Larry, call your coach. If she'd have said that, that's now her lack of integrity.
So
This is a
Larry,
new code
So-
around being your brothers and sisters keeper.
well,
this-
hold on, Fire. So Larry, how do you deal with someone else's so how do you deal? Okay, when someone else is out of integrity, how are you dealing with that?
Tell me who you're talking about for you. Let's just make it real.
Who am I talking about for me?
Because for me, if Jen lacks integrity, we're going to have a chat about it because that's now my integrity. I can't sleep with the woman and walk around and know she lacking integrity and I'm acting like I can't see it. And then I ignore it.
Got it.
Baby, I love you.
Got it.
That's a fact, Larry.
And there's a way to be about it, Larry,
So
because
Go
I got what you just said,
Yeah.
and I went home and I applied that thing. Ooh, but I didn't realize that I was beating the hell out of my wife and kids with this new distinction called
Well,
integrity.
it's not integrity when you use it as a weapon on people. That's not integrity.
Here's a plank in your eye. There's a plank in your eye. You're out of
Yeah.
integrity. Yeah.
There's an expression that goes like this. I can't hear what you're saying because who you're being is so loud.
That's why I bring it up.
No, it's great because you sit down with your wife and say, look, there's things in our relationship that's not working. And I lacked integrity because I haven't dealt with it. I just let it go on. So I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to me. I'm acknowledging my lack of integrity. So things with you weren't working and you're upset. And I just let it go by because I don't want to deal with it. That's now gotten in the middle of our marriage. It lacks integrity. I gave you my word that I will honor you forever. And doing that is not honoring you. I broke my word.
So how do the brothers and the sisters deal with this effectively? Because like you said, you can be so loud that your message is not heard. It doesn't land. So
Well,
how do you deal with it effectively in such that it doesn't appear harsh?
you create a context for your speaking. You create a context for what you're about to say so that they can hear it.
Give us an example, please.
Talking to Jen. Funny, she just walked in the room. Talking to Jen.
She heard you. She's like,
Yeah,
wait
she
a
heard
minute.
me right there. So
She's
I'm
like,
the
wait a
mouth
minute.
that's
This guy's
saying it.
talking about me?
Exactly. How did I get in the conversation?
I know, but here's the thing. Saying to her, first of all, you got to be willing to get what she says, get her communication. Because until I get what she says, anything I say is going to be like doing something to her, not getting her.
Mm.
And the moment all of what is said, then I can say, can I offer something? If she goes, no, it ain't personal. Because later she'll come back and goes, what do you want to say? Then I can talk to her. We're so more interested in making a point than making a difference that we lose the difference.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That is indeed a fact.
So we want things to be gotten in our time, not when it's their time to get it, not in our time.
Yeah, we're selfish.
Yeah, and when you start to be responsible for that they're in a world, you can start to speak from the world that they're in, not the one that you're in about what they're in. Be worried where they are. But we're so busy wanting to get our stuff off. And this is a community conversation.
Facts.
This is a it happens in our families, and that's why kids stop talking to their parents. That's why they go to somebody else to get advice because we don't listen to them. We say things like, "When I want your opinion, I'll tell you what it is."
There's no respect and honor no more. There's
None.
no love in the communication.
Exactly. You know, you can punish your child, but they still get you love them. Not you broke the rules. Not you're not going. Okay, let me know when you're done. Because I'm not going to interact with you that way. But man, how do I say this? We're so afraid of losing them, we don't have them.
Come on, man.
Jen is committed to me. She's not attached. She don't need me to be great. She's already great.
Earth got that down pat.
Look, when I got that, it put me in check really quickly because she don't need me. Same way I don't need her. So we have a partnership, a collaboration, because one don't need the other, but it makes a difference to be together. Very different.
Exactly. That's a fact.
Very different. And I think in the community, when I was looking at your questions, I was looking at them, and I looked at them a number of times, including they're all printed out here. I've been looking at them, kind of sat here and looked throughout the day. I just kind of looked, but what was right there was, as a community, we don't listen to each other anymore. And when you take your listening away, that person is dead. That person only exists in your listening. We don't listen to each other.
And you know what? Because of that, Larry,
Yeah.
we don't stand for each other no more.
And by the way, we don't.
Listen, I was on the streets of Chicago just the other day, and I ran into two brothers. One of them was first airborne in the military. The other brother was an OG. And I said, and he said they saw me taking pictures on the street, minding my own business, and they saw something in me, and they sparked a conversation. And we talked about, I said, "What you guys doing for the community?" And the brother said, "Oh, these little young cats, they don't even listen to me. They don't listen no more." I said, "They don't listen no more because they don't feel that you love them no more. They don't feel that you standing for them no more."
It's fact. I get that.
We got to stand for one another. So sometimes in this lifetime, you got to take some spit in the face. You got to take a shoe on your foot.
Yeah.
And you got to stand for those people who do that for the betterment of the whole.
Yeah, and what you're saying is great because if you start to look, y'all been around each other 12 years only because you stood for each other.
That's a fact.
But that's all that it was.
Because me and Water got some serious beef.
But here's the thing.
See, that's how you deal with that, Larry. You just don't even know. Yeah,
You don't even.
it's like a little. It's like a child, you know.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. I think what you're pointing to is so brilliant because we don't know how to stand without making a point.
Mm.
We don't know how to stand without giving up when things don't go our way. Far's got 5 kids now. when they four, my bad, when they look in the direction of how to function in life, they're gonna be left with what they saw and what they heard from him and the mother. When I lead the forum for teens, had a 13-year-old in Seattle once said, Larry, I said, yeah, what's going on? She was really upset, like, what's going on? She goes, why bother? I said, what are you talking about? Look at my mother and father. They say do X, but they do Y. Who do I trust anymore? She was 13. She was 13.
Exactly.
And that was over 15 years ago, and I never forgot that interaction because I got impacted by it. It's a young black kid. She's young black 13. The parents put her in juvie because of all that. I said, what are you so mad about? She goes, I don't know what the hell that. I said, what are you so mad about? She was like screaming. She goes, they lie. I said, how do they lie? They tell me to do something that they're not doing. I'm like, I got it. Because I don't know who to trust anymore.
Yeah.
I said, okay. I got that. She's 13. She looks just like us.
Wow.
And that's how children see it. Children see ideals. They don't see like long-term experience that we have. They're not adulterated like we are.
Well, the worst thing a parent can do is not sharing their life with their kids, not sharing all of the crazy that they did when they were teenagers. Because when you share the crazy that you did, they get it. You walk around like your stuff don't stink. They can't live up to that kind of perfection. But man, you tell them that you got arrested or you did drugs or whatever, they're like, oh, so you do get it. Then they'll talk to you about those things. That's, oh, you do get it.
So authenticity is the pathway.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And to add to that, the space for authenticity to emerge.
But
Has to be-
the authenticity starts with you. They got to have a safe space to be authentic. If not, why do they stick their arm in that machine?
Correct.
Look, some of us are not a safe place for people to talk.
That's a good one. Like, that's a really good one.
It's just not.
Yeah.
There are women in our life to where you're not a safe place to talk. There are men in your life where the women are not a safe place to talk or communicate.
And we got to keep it real with the shorties. We got to.
Okay.
So Larry, that's how this whole thing came about, is that we had a bigger group. There was more than 4 of us, but the group finally dwindled down to just us 4, where we don't do it anymore. We tried to rekindle it, but we decided to bring the show and bring it out so that everybody could see it. But what we were doing is creating a space where literally, when we, back in our heyday, we used to get on a call and we used to say, hey man, what are you dealing with? Just, none of that. Hey, what have you been up to? Nah, man. Like, what are you dealing with? And then we would talk about like what we were truly dealing with, which was, a great space for us to share what we were dealing with in a judgment-free zone where you could just say, here it is, unadulteratedly. I don't have to try to look good in front of anyone else because, I know you 3 guys so well that I can just share with you exactly what I'm dealing with.
And I think that's critical. When I became a forum leader, remember Roger Smith 22 years ago took me aside and said, you have got to live like CNN is watching you all the time. I tell you, and I thought it was full of it, frankly. Until I went out and started hanging out and stuff started showing that Larry did this, he said that. I'm like, what the? What? And all of a sudden I had to deal with cleaning things up that I had no idea what was happening because I thought it was full of it. No. I don't go out anymore. Y'all 4 guys, when we're together, I trust, I go out, we have y'all I trust. There is no other black man around that I trust to go out with that's not going to use this distinction or whatever the case may be. I don't do it. I tried a couple of times. Y'all are the only 4 guys that we went out to dinner with. And there's one other person I was with us. Gosh, I remember his name.
AD.
AD. Yeah, y'all the only ones that I would go in the 22 years of being a forum leader. Y'all are the only four guys that I've ever gone out with, and I mean ever. I don't trust nobody else.
Yeah. I mean, you operate in the sacred space, so you have to be very careful and cautious to keep it clean.
And I don't trust anybody else. But I want y'all to get that. I don't trust anybody else other than y'all to go out with.
Absolutely. I appreciate that.
And I don't.
We rock with you too, brother.
Jen sometimes goes, baby, you got to find some guys to go out with. I'm like, nah.
We'll have to pull you back out then. Next time Fire's in
Yeah.
town. He comes in town periodically, so we'll
And it's not a problem. So we'll do that.
yeah.
But I think I'm saying that because of y'all, who y'all are as graduates. But more than that, y'all have integrity as graduates. There's some graduates ain't got no damn integrity. They got to do all kinds of stuff under the name of being graduates. Y'all don't do that. But if our community is going to make a difference, it's got to be on a foundation of authenticity.
That's a fact.
And integrity is a mountain with no top. You got to love the climb.
Yeah. See, the thing is, people don't like judgment. Judgment is the huge impediment of relationship.
That's right.
When people feel judged, you just ruin it.
Well, then you got people deal with reality. Will people judge you? Yeah. So what? Either way, you die. They judge you if you look great. They judge you if you don't.
Yeah, and I think that's for me what what is really at the root of it is the fear of being judged. Like when we were doing our exercise earlier, like I will sacrifice all of that energy so that I'm not judged. And instead of just saying, "Oh, okay, here's a little scar, here's a whatever, here's the ugly blemish," and just say, "Hey, but this is me." Right. And be whole, right? By saying, hey, this is me, this is who I am. Hold on to that. And out of the fear of judgment.
I'm sorry for interrupting, I apologize. But even when you said there's no such thing as an ugly blemish. I don't even know what the hell that is, an ugly blemish.
Right.
Yeah. I don't even know what an ugly blemish is.
Right.
So you have a lot of mass around that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in our community, we've got so much drama around our stories. We have no freedom to be with our own daggone humanity.
Yeah.
Might as well be like a lifer in prison.
So for the people out there that don't know the distinction story, please clarify.
Yeah, it's a story is no different than the story you read in a book or fantasy reading a book. Something happens. Something literally happens in your life. You have the story about it, and then you live like that story is who you are. An example would be, I led a forum for teens, at identical twins in the forum for teens, 16 years old, identical. And they know I shared this because I talked to them and said I could share it. Identical twins. At 6 years old, they was at the same event. Saw the exact same thing, same moment of time. Made up two different stories, got two different lives. They saw the exact same thing. They both had two different narratives about what they think they saw. And the narrative that they put together literally creates their whole life. The exact same thing, same amount of time, two different lives. But we're so sure that those narratives are who we are that we would die for them. In relationships for them. In our lives for them. So you'd have in Atlanta where we live, brothers on the street, so I don't like your car. Oh, you don't like my car? You mean you don't like me? Boom, I shoot you for it. Really? They disrespected me. They looked at me funny. So what the heck does that mean? They looked at me funny. So that whole world is what we're talking about. And when we as a community can step outside of that world that we've put ourselves in, Wynn starts creating a business that's extraordinary for his life with he and his fiance, and Earth's in Africa doing something he's always wanted to do, and I don't know who she is, but I'm sure there's a great one over there. Fire with his family and 4 kids, and now there's a clearing for his wife and his family to create something. I don't even know what kind of car he's driving because I wasn't going to ask, but I figured that's another time. And what you're doing in your life that you're actually able to say what you're able to say. That's all a function of us being able to distinguish the story about who we are from who we are. So you can start to step into who you are and not live in that world. And that takes practice. It takes training. It takes development. And the fact that the forums are done online right now, you ain't got to leave home either. I'm leading the forum for people of African descent. I led 4 so far. They are radical. Because what shows up in the forum is what shows up in our community. You don't have to talk about it, it'll arise. The next one is November 18th in San Francisco and LA. Put your people in it. It's the last one of the year.
And for the people out there, you don't have to reside in those localities because these courses are online.
Yeah, just go to landmarkworldwide.com. It'll say San Francisco, November 18th, and you can register there. And we got 4 weeks to go. I want to register a couple hundred people before then because there's so much. I look at y'all and I'm clear what I'm here for. It's the strangest thing. I look at y'all and it gets clearer and clearer what I'm here for.
And we're here for you.
Well, what I'm here for is to watch your business flourish from whence you were to where you are. Your Earth being, working in a corporate environment and riding his bike and all that, but it didn't fulfill him. He made money, but it didn't fulfill him.
He still rides that bike.
Yeah, he still rides that bike. Good. I ride one too now.
Nice.
Firing this expression of his family, like a family. Like he doesn't have to look to the past to create what his family will look like because he's creating it now. So he doesn't have a reference point called, I'm not going to be like my mother, my father. No, he said, let's create our family. And whatever you got that you're working on and building, it's a function of all these different worlds that come together. That's why I'm even hearing on this call, because I watch y'all and say, yeah, that's what my life is for. Heck, you're going to die anyway. The question is how you're going to live.
Exactly. So I want to get to something, Larry. So people look at us and they say, we good, we made it, right? But it's the people at the bowels. It's the people at the bottom. It's the people that's on the streets. It's these people that's doing all this carjacking and shooting each other and robbing the stores. What are we going to do about that? How do we effectively deal with the gangs? How do we effectively deal with this recession and the impact of the recession with the evictions and the job loss and things of that sort? Let's talk about that.
In a word, 2 words, do something. See, in the absence of doing something, we keep asking the question, what are we going to do about it? See, even the fellas you were talking about on the street, you did something in that moment. You turned it a little this way, whatever that happens to be. Do something. Something. If enough something gets done, something will happen. If enough somethings get done. You pick up enough pennies, you'll get some dollars. Pick up enough dollars, you get tens. Pick up enough tens, but you did something. Whatever that looks like. It's same thing with exercise. Your well-being. Where do I start? Put sneakers on and go out, do something. Then do something again. Then do something again. Then do something again. And keep doing something. What do I do? Anything. Until it becomes yours.
So are you saying that cynicism and pessimism and resignation doesn't work?
I tested it out. It didn't go well. So I'd probably say, nah, it doesn't. I've actually tested it out. It didn't work.
What was the outcome of that?
I was left in the same place I was when I started, except for a little more pissed off. And truthfully, waking up in somebody's house that I didn't belong in, and then wonder why it was 33 years ago. I woke up in somebody's house and I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? How did I get here? How did I get here? Not physically. How did I get to where I didn't care about what I was doing?
How did you get unconscious? How did you get
So
to the space of just doing something?
Yeah. But really, how did I end up where I am? How did I end up in this woman's house 33 years ago? And then I had to confront something else. And then leaving her with there was a future that I was clear there wasn't. It was not my proudest moment, but probably one of the biggest moments.
Mine too. I shared, several sessions ago, man. I was 25 years old, and I was with this young lady. She was gorgeous, and we were doing a horizontal mambo. And I looked at her and I said, "My God, I don't even like you. I don't even know you." And it was at that moment that I committed to never being with a woman that I didn't like, love, trust, adore, and admire.
And I'm sure we've all been there where we've done something that we wake up with, what are we doing here? But I think the thing that's important about this group, at some point you had the integrity enough to go stop. Some people never say stop.
That was a point where I got awoken to the impact of sex, to the impact of relationship and love.
I got present to the impact on another human being
That's a fact.
I mean, it was just, I got impacted, the impact that I had on this human being.
That's a fact. And the world.
Yeah.
And the impact on you as a consequence.
Yeah, but the thing is I had to confront is not just the impact on her, the impact on all the guys who came after me that I impacted because she could no longer trust men.
That's a fact.
But then she had children, then it goes on beyond that, goes on. I actually said that my head was spinning. And this was just before I did the forum.
It goes on for generations and generations. And that's why we are where we are right now as it pertains to female and male relationships. We don't trust each other because of foolishness that we endured.
Well, not just endured, foolishness that we caused.
That we caused, exactly.
It's important, there's a lot we endured.
Yeah,
And we got to get straight about what we caused,
that's a fact.
not just with women, our finances, our well-being, our job,
Everything, brother.
all of it. If we something would be available that hasn't been, and we get to create that. Water, earth, fire. What's going on over there? I'm just kind of being with y'all.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah,
I think you created a whole world with do something. Do something. Start somewhere. That 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 message could be applied to just about any area where there's a hesitancy to launch, or any
yeah.
self-derived confusion when we're really not confused.
You go into one of your children. They're sitting there. They're just kind of hanging out. Let's go do something. They'll like pop up and it's like, where are we going? I don't know, but let's go do something. Let's go do something. What are we gonna do? I don't know. Let's go for a walk around the block. I don't know. Let's go do something. They start to get to know themselves as doing something.
So we got to bring more play to our life. Is that what you're saying, Larry?
That would probably be a really good idea.
Be more childlike.
Yeah, that's distinct from being childish, but absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's really great. But I think, in far as our community goes, what's gonna make the biggest difference? You know, this old adage, each one teach one. We think it's played out, but it's not. Each one teach a few. You know, it's a different world.
That's a fact.
Yeah, like so. This conversation, it's really a great conversation, and it just has me present to like being aware of being present to the world we create,
Mm-hmm.
and our actions create the world. Our words, our language create the whole world that begins to unfold in front of us, and being present to the impact, because this is just my view. The moment I walk out of my door in the morning or whenever, there's an impact. I'm literally impacting someone. Even if I don't, I just walk down the street, minding my own business. There's a possible impact. If I
Yes.
walk past someone and don't say good morning. So who knows what they make that mean? And so there's always an impact. And I'm creating a whole world for that person just
Yeah.
by moseying by. And my mind could be someplace totally different. I don't even know them. I'm not that I don't know them, but I don't even recognize them as I walk past. But still, just being present enough to know that the moment I walk out of my door, there's literally an impact on the world when I walk out the door.
And
And
we don't.
so,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, please.
No, I was just saying, and just for me, being present to that makes a whole another difference in how I actually walk through life. Being present to that. So yeah.
Yeah, you know, when Roger said you got to live like CNN is watching you all the time. I'm standing in the airport in Osaka, Japan, and this guy walks in. So you, Larry? I'm like, yeah, do I know you? Yeah, I was in your forum 15 years ago. And this guy Larry was talking to you about in Osaka, Japan, in the airport, minding my own business. Now, if I was in there acting a fool, I'd have killed everything that got built in a hot second.
Mm. Yeah.
So what you're saying, I get it. Every moment you're out, you're impacting something or someone at every moment of now.
Yeah.
We got to be responsible for it all.
Yeah, that would be accurate.
100% zero.
Yeah. Most people just like, wow. No, give 100%.
Tell the people about 100% zero.
Well, people think relationships should be 50-50 or 100%, 100%. 50-50 relationships and 100% relationships fail every time. Why? Their 50% and their 100% will never be what you think it should be. You want to have an extraordinary relationship? Give 100%, expect zero. You won't be upset. Now, people can barely be with that because they're all about what about me? Yeah, what about you? You give 100%, expect zero. You may notice you disappears and what shows up is who you really are. Just maybe.
Help the
Just
people,
maybe.
Larry.
Say that again?
Help the people. So when you say when we talk about there's no you being there,
Aha.
what we're saying is the identity that you thought was you this whole time, this personality that you thought was you your whole entire life until that moment of realization that it's all made up, man.
Maybe that's not even me. Maybe I put it together when I was 5.
Right.
I think the thing that you're pointing to, I love, is I tell people this now. If you're not your story, then who the heck are you? If you're not all that decision you made about yourself, then what's possible? If the past wasn't giving you being in the present, what would you create? What are you really mad about? What you're mad about ain't what you're mad about. It's only a trigger of something from the past that never got complete.
I want to read a quote, Larry.
Mm-hmm.
I want to shift gears just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
All of it's tied up, but I just want to shift gears just a tad bit. Here's the quote. It's from Dr. King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In a real sense, all life is interrelated. All men are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. And you can never be what you ought to be until I am who I ought to be. So here's the question, Larry.
There's another line right after that.
Go ahead.
That is the interrelated structure of reality.
There you go.
I love that quote because it's on my wall.
So here's the question, Larry. Why should non-Black people give a damn about the plight of Black people? Why should they really participate and really care for us? What's in it for them? Truly. Not just donating or doing something of surface, but why should they really care and really fully participate and really get what's going on in this world?
When I looked at that question, I didn't have an answer. I didn't have an answer first because there was no answer to the question. It maybe there's an opportunity for them to discover humanity. That humanity exists where we are and where they are. Maybe we get what for us human beings it means to be a human being. Maybe they get the humanity of it all. Maybe they get the contribution that our culture can make to their life in the world. Maybe they get that we're not someone to be afraid of, they're someone to contribute. Maybe that we get they're a possibility like I am the possibility, like you are a possibility. Just maybe. And one of the things that I say to folks, because I get a question similar, but why should we train white folks about how to be with us? We never make a blind person wrong for being blind. We give them a cane or we give them an elbow. And we support them in crossing the street. When someone's not from your culture versus making them wrong, maybe just pull the curtain so they can see what they don't. And expose them to water, earth, fire, wind, and what y'all bring to the table that they've never seen.
Brothers want to chime in? I see Earth wants to say something. Go ahead, Fire.
Now I want to hear what Earth. I'm curious of Earth's perspective on that commentary because of the work that he does, his calling, and the complexity and complexion of his students.
No, I agree wholeheartedly, because we have this thing called being able to speak to the familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that is the familiar from a traditional perspective is one spirit. That's the familiar. And when you can speak to someone there's no barriers. There's no boundaries in the way.
Yes.
There's nothing, there's literally nothing there but your spirit, this other person's spirit, and you speak to that. And it's really it's a beautiful place to exist in the realm of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's relatedness, this unlimitless relatedness that exists. Because you're speaking to the familiar. Now, the physicalness of someone may not be the familiar, but the spirit is the familiar, because there's no boundaries, there's nothing sitting in between you and that person. So that's what this statement reminded me of. Go ahead.
No, I was saying I actually get that, because when the spirit speaks, you hear it.
Yeah,
I get it.
Mm-hmm. So I'll come in behind that with a share. Thank you, Earth. Thank you, Chief, because that teed up what I'm about to say perfectly. It's the reason why you go first. So in 2008, pre-Landmark, I had this epiphany in the shower. I began to weep because I was enrolling in the Pittsburgh Theological Seminary to get my master's in divinity. I grew up Southern Baptist, and so my context and reference point for spirituality was the Christian church. Pews, stained glass windows, robes, you know the drill. Call and response, the Bible. I jump out the shower, and the first thing I do is confess to my wife what I'm feeling, an overwhelming feeling. And I told her I was going to be a minister, and she hopped up and she said, "What? What? You gonna be what?" And that I grew to know that reaction was due to the fact that she saw that my integrity wasn't strong enough, big enough to sustain the weight of the calling that I just told her that I just had. Now here's where it goes back full circle to your comment, your comment, Larry, and your comment, Earth. What I got and why I was really crying was that what I had known and how I had related to spirituality, myself and God, was rocked because the Holy Spirit told me, I want you to bring my people to me. In my finite mind, my people meant Black people. What the Holy Spirit said to me is, I don't want you to deal with Christianity. I want you to deal with consciousness on the level of humanity. Because at the spirit level, you're all my children. So when I think about what emboldens me and causes me to action, it's not am I mindful and do I have concerns for the ails and the issues of the Black community? 100%. But when we talk about existentially why I'm here and what I'm up to, it's about a shift in consciousness. And there is no limit to colors or religious doctrinal views that is subject to.
Yeah, and I can so get that. And because when you're talking about something of that magnitude, you're crossing over into many dimensions. And by the way, that's where transformation actually happens in Earth, and the work that you're doing. It happens. You know, the way water functions is life, it happens. The way fire functions is life happens. The way wind functions, life happens. So when people meet y'all out on the road, they say, wait, something about that Black man is not like what I thought they are. So all of a sudden you've shifted consciousness enough to where they start to see the next one not as what they saw before.
Come on, Larry. My God.
So you're talking about the shifting of consciousness by being great. People don't expect you to be great. You give them a hand or give them an elbow. All of a sudden they look at the next person, they start to question their own motives about how they are now being because of you. You're going to die anyway. Might as well live for something.
So the reason why we started this program is because we got that we're a network of conversations.
Yep.
We got the fact that if you shift the conversation, you can in turn shift the behavior. If you shift the behavior of one person, you shift the behavior of a relationship. If you shift the behavior of a relationship, you can shift the behavior, the constitution of a family. You shift that family, you shift a neighborhood, a community,
Yeah.
and then the world. One conversation at a time, brother.
Well,
That is the onus of the Four Elements United. That's why we do what we do.
In shifting one conversation at a time, you begin to shift families, you shift the world. And the form is about a shift in the context, a shift in humanity, a transformation of what for us human beings it means to be a human being. And each one of you is a transformation of what's possible in our community, even when the community don't know it yet. They meet what's predictable. When they meet y'all, they meet what's possible. They don't quite know how to reconcile that puppy because it doesn't match. All right, gentlemen, I've got to go now. I've got to get on the call. Go ahead.
Sure.
Good thing we're all well versed in being different.
Which makes us all the same.
We're very comfortable being different.
Which makes us all the same.
You got any last words, Larry, that you want to say to the people?
Do something. Know yourself as someone who did something that made a difference. Yeah, and also, put yourself in the forum. Go to the website, take a look at it, put yourself in the forum. And don't do it for you, do it for the future, do it for the generations yet to come. Because I'm not leading to you, I'm leading to your family through you. So that's what's possible for us, our families, our communities. Go to the website, see it. Don't just see it to see it. It costs $6.75. If you go to an introduction, there's another price you actually get to pay a little less than that. But what you're gonna put your money to? Something you can wear, or something you can be.
What's the URL, Larry?
www.landmarkworldwide.com. Landmarkworldwide.com. So it'd be so cool to have to inundate the system and have 200 people in the forum in November for what's possible. So I invite you all to do that. Gentlemen, I do have to go. And I want to leave with one thing. I love y'all. I don't love you for
Love
what
you too,
do.
brother.
I don't love you for what you do. I love you for who you are.
We love you as well, brother, for who
All right.
you are and what you do for the world, brother.
Thank you.
Love you too, Larry.
Peace.
Love you too, Larry.
Peace, everybody. We'll let you know when we're back on.
Exactly.